Bwahahaha. My name is Amy2 and welcome back to Talk to Transformer. Today I couldn't do a Sabbath walk, but I'll do a Talk to Transformer. So anyway, rather than doing the usual stuff, how about Harry went to town one day and met my grandmother on the corner. We were talking about something and she asked me, why is this project the baddest man in the world? I've met other people like that, but none of them have held that title. You've met really badasses. Not really, I mean, I've met really badasses in movies. Oh, so really is actually a part of this thing. Who are fierce and powerful and all that. But it's never been like that in real life. I think if you're interested in people who are really into muscle building, the baddest man in the world is a guy. He's the guy who is willing to lift a car over his head to hit a trampoline five times, and then what is this? Okay, let's change this to one of the names of the Team Rocket. James. What is this? James went to town one day and met a new friend named Marcy Williams. She told him how she was attacked by a wild animal in January and how she survived the attack, getting 2 strong grizzly bears killed in the process. But bears aren't awake in January. Then the bear that attacked her was shot by her husband, who turned his gun on the bear. Well, duh. Not seeing it was a life-size model for a grizzly and killed it. He took a half-inch piece of meat from the bear, the serial number and all. What? Jim yelled at his husband, "We still need that bear because we're gonna put it in a storage unit." When the story of Marcy and the bears came up, Jim was shocked and amazed at the power of nature. Like a blank ... What is this? James went to town one day and met his brother, William Parker, who had lost his battles in the conflict. The two had been foster sons and had always been close. Soon that bond grew into romance. What? Wow. They married a few months after the war ended. What is this? And William Parker died in 1919. An apparent suicide. Wow. Benjamin married Jesse. Hey! Jesse and James. Jesse James. In 1920. They had 3 daughters. They had settled in Key West, Florida, where Benjamin worked as a lawyer and grew his own tobacco. What? Scroll down for video. There is no video. Benjamin died in 1919. Wait a minute, this is the same thing. An apparent suicide after reportedly committing adultery and having a daughter. He had married Jesse, who was 7 years his junior. Wait a minute, what? Who was 7 years his junior in 1920. He and his wife worked hard to provide for their families. But Benjamin's own health... What is this? Some kind of weird, some kind of weird, like, post-World War I, like, crappy story. What? James went to town one day and met me at the car. I climbed in and he came around the back of the car and I jumped out. I was on top of the car and looked down to my 2 kids. I looked up at him. What? He said he looked down at his 2 kids and looked up at him and he was on top of the freaking car. He has a gun. And he went white as a ghost and he backed away as if he was going to get out of the car. I looked at him for a moment, then I looked at him for another. I don't know, 6 or 7 seconds. That's very specific. Then I looked at him. He was wearing all black, no glasses. His head was slumped forward. That's when I saw the badge under the shirt. How did you see a badge that was under the shirt, and why is the badge under a shirt? And I pulled it out, saw it was a ... We'll never know what it was. What? What is that? What? James went to town one day and met Dr. Tyson, a friend of Jim's, in the supermarket. Jim smiled when Dr. Tyson began to talk about how this particular species of worm had destroyed civilization on Earth. While studying earthworm biology, Jim had come to understand that the earthworm is designed to attack a target organism that can cause no harm to the earthworms. This is a hypothesis that Jim, after considerable thought, came to believe that UFOs could be, in many ways, more efficient and less destructive than land-based. But what is this? Losing Jim was also was difficult for his family. Linda was also distraught, and the loss of her husband was crushing for everyone. This was especially true for Linda's husband, who as a child had been one ... How exactly did this go from two like weird like doctor guys, like mad doctors, talking about worms to this? So yeah, those worms, they destroyed civilization on Earth. Eggman was in his base plotting to take over Mobius when a portal opened up in his base. Eggman was in his base plotting to take over Mobius when a portal opened up in his base, and Professor Silver retrieved a Jumba balloon, which they used to change the previous timeline to another universe prime. Konaka was in Japan researching his energy dagger when he found a time portal through which he could go back in time to San Francisco. Wait a minute, he's in Japan. If he travels back in time, Japan is still Japan. San Francisco is somewhere else. At the same time, the TMNT, whatever that is, were busy looking for Kia, the missing diamond. I've heard that before. I forgot what it means. He jumped through, accidentally becoming part of the Smokey and the Bandit crossover event. What? Eggman was in his base plotting to take over Mobius when a portal opened up in his base to New Mobotropolis. He made it to the surface and summoned Jet to assist him in fighting the various villainous powers that have been trying to take over Mobius. Eggman then brought Sonic the Hedgehog and Knuckles the Echidna to his side. Excuse me? Thus successfully taking over Mobius. Eggman, Sonic, and Knuckles fight together to take over Mobius. Eggman then had himself sealed within a place called the Ark of the Covenant. What? How did this suddenly turn to Bible stuff? Eggman then had himself sealed within a place called the Ark of the Covenant in order to avoid being exposed to the rest of the planet. Eggman continued on with his plans to take over the planet, setting his plans in motion for the 21st century. Under his control, Eggman began making a slew of deals with the villainous inhabitants of Mobius. I like the part where Eggman seals himself in the Ark of the Covenant. What? Eggman was in his base, plotting to take over Mobius, when a portal opened up in his base. Mad Dog managed to get himself in on a secret project and took control of Mobius and invaded the Chameleon Coast. Excuse me? Where he faced off against Tails and K9. K9. Yeah. Like, you know, police canine units? The former his arch nemesis. The former his arch nemesis. What? That's terrible English. A match he lost. Mad Dog also faced off against Sonic the Hedgehog in his new Regal Blue scheme. Excuse me? With Mad Dog easily defeating Sonic in his base. While Mad Dog was preparing to launch his initial assault on the planet, Eggman was busy, managing to steal their work on AI Armada. Mad Dog then escaped Mobius in a ship, but not before clearing some debris from the planet's surface. He eventually tracked down Eggman on ... Eggman was in his base, plotting to take over Mobius, when a portal opened up in his base. Deciding that nothing to do. Again, more bad English. The bird person took a nap and fell asleep. After he was transported to another world, where he was held captive by Sonic the Hedgehog, the bird person was eventually freed by Piku Piku. That's what Amy's hammer is referred to. So he was freed by Amy. And some other henchman. In order to return home. In Sonic Adventure 2 and its expansion Sonic Heroes. He created his own evil. Dr. Eggman. This version of Dr. Eggman has the special ability of taking over the bodies of his enemies and forcing them to fight each other. Holy cow! Eggman Chaos, while Wily... You mean Dr. Wily from Mega Man? Eggman's second in command constructed Eggman. Oh man, this is so good. Knuckles was watching the Master Emerald when suddenly... Knuckles was watching the Master Emerald when suddenly a yelp, as one of them fell into the pit. Excuse me, what? What? A blaze shot up the stone pillar and once again stunned everyone. Nappa exploded as his... Nappa exploded as his eyes were widened in pain. You don't widen your eyes if you're in pain. You, like... Nappa looked to see his sons who were being roasted before his eyes. Whoa. Okay, whoa. You're the worst. Really? You should have stayed where you were. How the hell do I know that? Well, I sure as hell know how that works. Nappa, don't speak to me in that way. You never treat your subordinates well, and now you want me to be happy? Huh? No? Now that... What? What is this? Knuckles was watching the Master Emerald when suddenly he heard an urgent knocking at his front door. He opened it to reveal a tall fellow with flaming red hair, a long mustache, and a potbelly. So, Eggman with red hair. You must be Red. She'll be getting ready, said the Master Emerald. Emerald eyes. It's time. This time it's for me. Master Emerald, a guest is at the door, said Lugnut. Walking in. I know, and she looks great, said the angry Master Emerald. What is this? Just wait a second. I'll take a look. A moment later, the Master Emerald returned, a bit drunk, with a long brown bottle in its hand. Is it really that nice and this nice? Yes. I like how the Master Emerald became a person. Oh, good grief. That was amazing. What? Another great one. Knuckles was watching the Master Emerald when suddenly the guard shook the emerald and crushed it, then tossed it into a toilet. Oh man. The guard shook the emerald and crushed it, then tossed it into a toilet, swinging his chair around. Swarchid, whatever that is, screamed at him in a high-pitched voice, "Bull!" Not really a surprise. The Master Emerald was rare, given that the school had no branch of magic. But given how bad the plumbing got, it was more about water bills. Still, it took an intercontinental hide-and-seek to locate the person who'd done it, who was hiding in an overflow room. Nick spoke to Nick's mother on the phone. Her son had apparently disappeared. They were immediately offered help, and soon enough he ... I like the part where the guard shook the emerald and crushed it and then tossed it into a toilet. Why a toilet? Here's what I think of your emerald. Crush! And he flushes the toilet. Knuckles was watching the Master Emerald when suddenly a voice called out to him and asked him what he was looking at. Well, clearly he's looking at the Master Emerald. He sat there and listened in on the conversation with a vague and confused expression before turning his head to the side and to answer in a normal, unattached manner. "What are you doing?" asked Gold in a cold and collected manner. "Actually, no, I'm not. I'm not doing anything," said Runt, in a deeply annoyed tone to his voice. He turned and walked toward the train station to get home. "What are you doing here?" asked Silver, in a light tone of voice. "You know what I'm doing." "Well, heh," replied Runt. "You know I ... Why was he called Runt? Say, Runt." "Yes?" What is it? Knuckles was watching the Master Emerald when suddenly a violent implosion drew the attention of all the bugs that had gathered around the tiny emerald. The two pieces fell together and the explosion was heard everywhere. Everyone, even the androids, looked up to see a giant gold sign. And it was beginning to burn. Once it was fully engulfed, the entire crowd was blinded by the golden light. The golden sign became a movie screen with movement, horror, and stars on it. Everyone took off their glasses to look at it, and that was when they saw an enormous red eye staring down at them. No one thought about it at first, but an explosion shook the building and the screen disappeared, and a metal bar appeared from beneath it, rushing into the room. Excuse me, what? This AI comes up with the best trash. Knuckles was watching the Master Emerald when suddenly something struck the stone, striking a large diamond shape in it. He knew then what he had to do. He swung the Master Emerald around, conjuring a spike that sliced through the end of the castle. Kingdom Hearts. In the Castle of Dreams, Kingdom Hearts 2, when Sora is sleeping in the Castle of Dreams, he thought back to the day when Irkras had instructed him to face the guardian of the Keyblade, who had then entrusted him with the Master Emerald. Oh man. Sora recalled his sorrow at not being able to use the power of the Keyblade, and the feeling of deja vu when he remembered having felt the Master Emerald by his hand back at the world that never was. In Kingdom Hearts 358, I like how it replaced one thing in the Kingdom Hearts thing with the Master Emerald. Knuckles was watching the Master Emerald when suddenly he heard a call on the leaf. I'm sorry about this Master Emerald. The gem is very rich and should have remained hidden. Besides, when he's visiting this Manhyun shrine, the Master Emerald would be forced to burn when the divine light came. If he did not hide it in the first place, it would be washed away by the spreading flames. He regrets this. Well, he's looking for a way to buy the ruby on the spot. Would you like to bet my power? Yes. I'm doing business with Master Emerald. Here are the parameters. You can have anything you want from me. I will reduce this payment by 50%. If he receives the ruby that I won, if the ... Knuckles was watching the Master Emerald when suddenly the crystal burst and sent two birds flying up to the surface. The boys snapped to attention and charged for the door. Although they were used to fighting the monsters, the practice was grueling and there were moments where the boys' hands shook uncontrollably. The crystal skull stood before them. Flies swarmed around its head, and the clouds were cracked by the light of a crystal lamp. The skull's body was very large and would appear to be almost as big as Professor Dimwit. What? Professor Dimwit. Behind it was a shimmering mottled aura that gave it a ghostly touch to everything. It had an aura of mystery that hinted at it being more than just an ordinary monster. Warlord Baturig's face. ... What? What I'm curious is how it managed to come up with the name Professor Dimwit. Okay. Now I'm gonna change something here. Change Emerald out with Sword. Make it Zelda Sonic. Knuckles was watching the Master Sword when suddenly he heard a scream, and then saw Sonic and Amy jump down from the ceiling above the bed. Excuse me, what? Calling out for the dog. Knuckles immediately jumped to his feet, rushed over to the fallen Amy, and held her as she gasped for breath. What the heck was Sonic doing to her? Knuckles, meanwhile, was crawling over to the top of the bed, then reaching out to Sonic with Knuckles with his hand. "Damn it, Sonic," he said. "Where the hell is he?" He's on top of the freaking bed. "Let's get the hell out of here. The lot of you," Knuckles replied. He picked up the Master Sword from the ground and swung it around, not quite sure how he was going to do it. Sonic hopped out of bed, holding Amy up with his other. Excuse me, what? It turned the Master Sword back into the Master Emerald in this one. Knuckles was watching the Master Sword when suddenly he turned around and used his nose to poke the Master Emerald. He called out to himself as he saw the Master Emerald. "Ooh, a crystal!" "Leave it, you idiot!" Cackle mocked him as he stood from his seat and began to walk away from the Master Emerald, immediately calling out, "Who wants to know something that will set all of this right?" The Master Emerald followed him as he began walking away. "Why are we here?" Sonic asked the Silver, walking alongside the Master Emerald, with the pink blur, which the pink blur was still holding in his hand. "I wish to fix this, Sonic. We are working together, and together we will defeat Eggman," the Silver explained. So it did what it did with Sledder. It turned Silver into the Silver. Knuckles was watching the Master Sword when suddenly the screen shined and appeared on the wall, surrounded by black and white flames. Dr. Robotnik then emerged, wearing a disguise similar to before. With no hair, his eyes half opened, and a grin plastered across his face. Excuse me, what? He then slowly walked up to the Master Sword, not using his cane, nor his sonic screwdriver, nor any of his machinery or weapons, except for the Master Emerald. Before he could attack, Sonic and Tails ran up and stopped him with their attacks, and Sonic informed that he had come looking for him in order to stop the Big Boo invasion. A plot made by the Koopalings. How this suddenly turned into Mario to steal the Master Emerald for themselves. After a brief standoff, Dr. Robotnik ... Knuckles was watching the Master Sword when suddenly a mass of water exploded out from under the stone and seized up the Master Sword. Before the Master Sword could react, as if it's a person, Mario jumped in front of it and took the sword, telling the robot to back off. So apparently the water is a robot now. Soon afterwards, Mario resumed the story, but this time with some irony. The Master Sword had vanished, but Mario had found some mysterious pictures that helped him figure out a way to get the Master Sword back. At the beginning of the video, Mario warned Kamek that when his plans to control every world failed, he would attempt to kidnap Princess Peach. However, before the two could play out their final showdown, Captain Falcon intervened with his tail. Falcon took Mario's home to the forest, and Kamek ... What? This went to every single thing imaginable. You got Sonic, Mario, Legend of Zelda, and Captain Falcon. What? But anyway, I'm gonna have to end this video here. If you liked it, please subscribe. Go look at my other videos. But yeah, I'll see you next time. And bye.